Tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. No mai, hari mai. Welcome everyone on this chilly spring morning. I'm the General Manager of the Parnell Business Association, and we titled this morning's event Corporate Volunteering. And I guess we're seeking to pose the question from various points of view. As staff have changed several working patterns since COVID and are becoming more sustainably conscious, we're asking if there is a demand from staff of their employees to offer options such as volunteering. And then similarly, are employers keen to journey down this path? And if the answers to the first two questions are yes, what opportunities are out there? So this morning we have two speakers who are extremely qualified in this arena, both of whom will be introduced by Josephine Rudkin-Binks. We estimate the entire session should not take longer than 45 minutes. And as you can hear, it's being recorded. So please may I ask you to put your microphones on mute and save questions for the end. Over to you, Joey.
Morena, everybody, tēnā koutou katoa. So co-Josephine Tokuingawa, co-Ecotricity and co-Parnell Business Association. So as Cheryl said, today's webinar is on corporate volunteering, and volunteering can be very rewarding. It provides a great opportunity to give back in many ways. It not only benefits the community, but also the employees and your organization. Quite a number of organisations now offer employees paid volunteering time. I know quite a number of organisations that allow a day or 2 days a year. I also know of some that allow a week, which is fantastic. According to Stats NZ, Kiwis contribute 159 million hours of formal volunteering each year. And I know that number actually must be way more with the non-formal volunteering. Some organisations also plan like annual events like tree planting, beach cleanups, food rescue sessions, and that's a great way to do something with your team all together. But also organisations actually also let the employee choose how they want to spend their day or days volunteering. And then people are choosing projects that are really close to their heart. But I do know that with organisations that offer the opportunity for staff to volunteer, I know that actually, surprisingly, not that many take up this opportunity. It could be for various reasons. Perhaps they just, their work is so full on that they can't take a day out to do this. Or it could be that they don't actually know where to go or what companies to go to. So we hope that today's webinar will inspire you, if you are in an organisation that offers time to actually book something and make time to do it, or if you're an organisation that currently doesn't offer this, that this is a call to action to get that policy changed. So we've got two speakers today, and both projects very dear to my heart. So first I'm going to introduce the first presenter. So Michelle Blau is GM of Fair Foods New Zealand. Michelle brings over 20 years of experience in community development through roles at NGOs and the public sector globally and here in Aotearoa. Michelle has worked on many major advocacy campaigns for the environment, social justice space, and most recently, she led the communications portfolio for waste minimisation, climate, and the environment to Auckland Council. I have been enjoying volunteering at Fair Food myself, and Fair Food is a fantastic food rescue charity. They're passionate about feeding people and not landfills. And every day Fair Food rescues a ton of surplus food, or tons of surplus food, from growers, manufacturers, retailers to redistribute to people in need. It's a great place to go and lend a hand. So I will hand over to you, Michelle.
Kia ora. Thank you for that. I have a good connection to Parnell. Actually, we lived there our first 2 years in New Zealand when my husband was a diplomat, right on the top of Parnell Road. So it's exciting to be back doing something like this, although now we're proud Westies and Fair Food is the West Auckland organization. Ko Appalachian, te monga, te urune takuna ko, no Kentucky aho. And as you mentioned, ko Blau toku whanu, ko Michelle toku inoa. So You can hear that I am American, but try not to hold that against me. Americans are great volunteers, so we do have that in our culture, amongst other things. And hopefully you all can see my screen well. Beautiful. So Fair Food does rely on volunteers for most of what we do. We're a great place to volunteer because we will use your skills, and we think it's a lot of fun. You can decide for yourself when you come. I'll walk you through a little bit about who we are, our approach to volunteering, and what it might look like to spend your day with us. So the first thing is just why. New Zealand produces enough food to feed 40 million people, yet 40% of us experience food insecurity at some point, which is really, overwhelming. It's 1 in 5 kids who go to sleep at night not knowing if there's going to be food in their home. And on the flip side, at the individual level, we waste enough food in New Zealand in our own homes to feed West Auckland for more than a year. And we see that people who are working full time still need a food parcel. So for us, hunger is in our backyard. And it's something that we really see and experience in our own friends and neighbors and neighborhoods. And so we have a big ability to meet the need, and we know how. So the Fair Food model is a B2B model. We're a charity behind the charities. So we have about 40 organizations that come to us every week, and they pick up more than 50,000 kilos of food for free each month. Our volunteer army gave 4,500 hours of labor last year. So that tells you, just how much volunteers are an integral part of our organization. And because of the strong relationship we have with volunteering, we're able to provide the food at an operating cost of about 40 cents a meal. So there's a great, overall, as a food rescue sector, we have a 1 to 4.5 investment ratio. It's just a huge return on investment because it's a logistics model that can be so easily applied. Who we serve, this is a map you can go to in your own time and see some of the charity groups that get food from us. It's a mix of women's refuges, transitional housing, social service agencies, ethnic or other community support groups, churches, places that do cookups or community meals, social supermarkets, Pataka Kais, primary school community hubs, early childhood centers, everybody eats. So we have a charity mix that matches the food that we get. And for us, it's all about the freshness. So we like people to be able to pick up and distribute the food really in the same day so that we know that the quality level is still as high as when we sorted it. It's also important to us that we give people food that they know how to cook with, or that we give them food that they don't need to cook if they're in a situation where they might only have access to a microwave. And so we're focused on fresh food. Milk, dairy, meat, produce is, our bread and butter. Bread, it's probably about 3/4 of what we do at Fair Food. And basically every morning our drivers go out to all the supermarkets across West and Central Auckland. They pick up any of the stuff that's got its best before date, any of the produce that just maybe one apple in the whole bag is soft, or the potatoes have started to sprout, or there's one brown banana, but they're all wrapped together. And while they're out picking up, the charities come to the hub and take from yesterday's sort. It's about 1 ton, a little over a ton of fresh food, and then about 1.5 tons of other kind of bulk foods. And we sort it by fit to eat, fit to cook, and fit to compost, because if it doesn't look great, we don't want to give it to our community. Because if you're in a situation where you have a need for a food parcel, we want to make sure that the food we give you makes your life better and reminds you that people care about you and that your friends and neighbors are looking out for you. And so we would never give someone a brown banana. And what that means is that we have a lot of food that isn't quite supermarket level, but would be fine to cook with, you would pull it out of your produce drawer without thinking twice about it. And so we have a kitchen that was donated to us from the DE group and Kitchen Things. And we use that to chop up and do meal kits or meals with the food that isn't quite gorgeous enough to put in a box. Our impact last year, we did about 2.2 million meals worth of food. It was 753 tons of food that would otherwise go to landfill. So that means that on average, we're putting about 42,000 meals a week of food back out into our community through our charity partners. And the estimate of the greenhouse gas emissions from all of that food not going to landfill or not decomposing is 586 tons of food, which is something like 80 round trip flights to London. So it's a big climate intervention on top of being a great solution to meeting the need for hunger. Our volunteer program runs 6 days a week. We do cooking in the mornings and sorting in the afternoons. On any given week, it's about 50 people, sometimes more like 100 people a week. And we take corporate groups of up to 25. I think when Deloitte came, they were more like 28, and that was a lot, but we'd saved stuff for them to do. So that was fine. And we have super sorters who are people who might come every day for a month or might come once a week, for 6 months or something like that. And those are our volunteers who will pair you with on the day to make sure that if you have questions, we can answer them. And then we'll send you something that just shows the scale of what you've done. We put one of these out every single month. September's will be coming out later this week. It looks very similar in terms of numbers, but we calculate down to the kilo everything that we rescue, what goes to compost, what % of it was produce, all of those kinds of things, so that we know and can feed back to our suppliers about what they're giving us and where it's going. These are some of the corporate groups that we had in over the past couple months. So you can see it is quite popular, as you were saying. What's lovely about our corporate groups is that they often come up with things to continue the partnership afterwards, or they might refer another group from their same company. And so we had a group in recently that had a great time and then got back to us and said, it was an insurance company, and they said, next year we're going to build you into our formal program. We're going to book out all of our shifts for the year, and don't worry, we'll always send you 10 people. So it's lovely to have that kind of ongoing relationship. We had a group of accountant types in from one of the banks, and now one of them is volunteering to do some month-end number crunching for us. And so that's great for us because I certainly don't program with R, and the people who do are beloved. And Deloitte introduced us to Mind Lab, and now we're part of their Change for Good program, and we have their students coming and doing a 7-week practicum with us. So we get a lot out of the corporate experience because we get to have those chats over Kai, and we get to come up with ways that people can really enrich their skills and knowledge for good and use the things that they do. And we walk the walk as well. I volunteer for a different charity, which seems kind of silly since we are a charity, but my background is media and PR, and there's a small charity that I just absolutely love, and they can't afford a comms person. And so I do their media releases, and if someone's going to be on the news, I help do their kind of media prep and things like that. It takes me 15 minutes, half an hour, but it gets them press coverage that they wouldn't get otherwise. And it's a skill that I already have. So I get the value of keeping my skills up, and they get the value of not having to, pay a PR firm to do that for them. And so I know personally how nice it can be to use your skills that otherwise they wouldn't have that need met. And so in addition to coming and just doing an afternoon sorting with us, we're always happy to use the skills that people already have. This is what it typically looks like. You come in about midday when the food arrives. We give you a just really 15-minute intro and then send you out to do the mahi. So that might be chopping up food. It might be sorting the fresh food. It could be packaging dry goods or other projects. We might have things that relate to those main needs that you might prefer to do. And we're usually out of the hub by about 3:15. So it takes about 3 hours to get through everything. Plus, we like to make sure you have some ice cream or a little snack and have a little debrief with us. So a half a day session is plenty to spend with us and get through the whole experience. And we talk about whatever is most of interest to you all. It could be about poverty, about our charity partners, about the need. It could be about climate, food waste, waste minimization, food freshness tips, you know, whatever it is that you're curious about, we're happy to fill in that need. So you gain those insights. One of the things that we see a lot is that teams love coming to volunteer with us because if you're a senior person in the organization, you're not necessarily as approachable. You know, if you're in a lift with that person, you don't necessarily know how to start a deep conversation, or you wouldn't necessarily ask like, oh, do you have kids? Or, you know, you wouldn't chat. And if you're over the Kai tables for 3 hours, you absolutely would. And so we get a lot of CEOs that come through, and for them, it's a great chance to talk to their employees because it's not intimidating. And it's an easy way to just get to know people and hear things. And so if you do team building events over alcohol, there's, you know, the risk factor and it's not as inclusive. If you do team building events that are physical, like, you know, laser tag or ropes courses or tree planting or things like that, it's also not inclusive, but it's also, it's not really a lot of chat happening there, or same with things that are competitive. Whereas ours is a skill that everybody can do and contribute to, and it allows them that chance to really chat. And of course, younger people increasingly are choosing their employers based on their values. And it's such a major thing that millennials and zennials are bringing into the workplace is what types of alignment and sustainability they have, no matter what the organization is. And so we hear from especially the younger professionals that come through and volunteer with us that they chose us for that reason, and they like seeing that direct impact. We will send you something afterwards that just tells you how many volunteers came, how many hours, how many kilos you got through, what it meant in terms of meals, and what it meant in terms of emissions. So we send you the total impact of your day with us, as well as the bit that you contributed to personally. And sometimes we make you one of those graphics as well. So you can post it on your own LinkedIn, you can share it with your team. So that's me. Maya is our volunteer scheduler. So you can email us anytime. If we have the space, we'll take you. You don't have to plan it months in advance. We do just ask, obviously, that if you sign up to do it, that you follow through, because we have a ton of food to get through every single day. And if you don't come, then who is going through those pallets of apples and oranges and tomatoes? Kia ora.
Oh, kia ora, Michelle. That was great. No, it's the impact that you're having is amazing. I mean, to be able to rescue and then redistribute over 2 million meals for community that would have gone to waste to landfill, and then have its other issues with regards to, as you say, decomposing in landfills. You know, it's a fantastic setup that you've got, and I'm so delighted that someone sponsored a kitchen, because I know when previously when we were sorting food, and it would go in to pigs and feed pigs, you know, so it never went to landfill. But some of the food, as you say, it was sort of on the edge. You would probably cook with it, but you didn't want to donate it because it didn't look nice enough. So fantastic now that you can make soups and, you know, and what have you. So yeah, so it's a great, so thanks for the call to action at the end. Michelle's details were there, and we will circulate all of the information on the organizations as well to you. So thank you. So our next speaker is Kim Sinfield. Kim is Funding and Relationships Manager for Habitat for Humanity Northern. For Kim, after a long career in retail, doing everything from managing liquor outlets to being an owner and operator of 3 Paper Plus stores, Kim wanted to take a step back and focus on helping other people. She then worked as a retail consultant for the Auckland Cancer Society, where her passion for giving back really took hold. Habitat for Humanity is close to Kim's heart in so many ways, but what really resonates for her is the hands-on ethos of what they do, enabling families to have warmer, drier, healthier homes that can have profound impacts for generations to come. A friend of mine, when I was at Toitu, a colleague of mine at Toitu, spent each year, apart from COVID years, a week actually volunteering, building homes in the South Pacific, and she reported back what a rewarding time it was. And interestingly, at Toitu, you were given 2 days paid volunteering a year, but you could actually barter with others to add to that. So if your organization does offer, say, 1 day a year, and you know a colleague of yours hasn't been able to use theirs, well, perhaps you could do two days. So yeah, I'm delighted to hand over to Kim then for Habitat for Humanity.
Morning, and thank you for the welcome. Michelle, you've made me want to come volunteer with you. So we'll talk afterwards. I'll just share my screen. Hopefully you can, sorry, this is going very slow for me today. Hopefully you can see that.
Yeah, perfect.
Thank you for the intro. Yep, my name's Kim. I've been with Habitat now for almost 3 years, and it's my absolute privilege to be the lead for corporate volunteering. I'm very passionate about the work that we do. And so I just wanted to give you a little bit of background on who we are and what we do first. So Habitat Northern is part of Habitat for Humanity, and we are an international not-for-profit which began in the United States in 1976. Quite a few of you may be aware that Jimmy Carter is a spokesperson. He attended his last volunteer week last week in the States, and he's into his late 80s, early 90s now. He's absolutely amazing, and here's the spirit of what we do. Habitat is dedicated to eliminating substandard housing worldwide and making adequate, affordable shelter a matter of conscience and action. We believe housing is one of the basic tenets of life. Without decent, affordable shelter, our communities simply can't thrive. So our vision is really simple: a world where everyone has a decent place to live. That's a really easy statement. That's really hard to fit into our world as it currently is. We have housing crisis in New Zealand and actually in quite a few countries around the world. America is also in the grips of an economic housing crisis. So our mission is really to bring people together to build homes, communities, and hope. We believe, or we know, that by enabling a family to have a warm, dry, safe, healthy home, we are ensuring better health outcomes for that whānau, better education outcomes, better medical education, and better outcomes for generations to come. So everyone knows or has an idea of what Habitat volunteering looks like internationally, and that is one avenue. So Habitat has built or repaired homes for millions of people in thousands of communities around the world. Each area in the world has its own regions that it looks after. New Zealand looks after Nepal, Mexico, Cambodia, and the Pacific Islands. So we send teams to those countries specifically from here, which we run. They have been on hold due to COVID, unfortunately, but we are hopeful that they will start again next year. So while that's the international side, what I really want to talk to you about today is the domestic side. So what's happening in New Zealand, because we have the same challenges within our housing space as Mexico, as Nepal, as Tonga. So Habitat has been operating in New Zealand since the mid-1980s, with thousands of volunteers donating their time, sweat, laughter to help Kiwis. Each year, Habitat Northern has around 500 volunteers providing 30,000 hours to our mission. That's just on average, so we are large. How we work is the country is broken up into affiliates or region. So I'm from the Northern region, and that's from Bombay to Cape Reinga. So we have 8 affiliates around the country, and each affiliate addresses their local needs, what's relevant to that region in terms of what support do people need. So I'll just give you an idea of what those local programs look like in our region. So within our region, we're focused on 4 programs primarily. We have progressive home ownership, where we support working families into home ownership through a rent to buy model over a period of time. They pay there's no deposit required. It's really aimed at families who know they'll never be able to afford their own home. So we walk them through the process. They rent off us for a period of time. At the end of that first 3 years, that rent becomes their deposit, which they then enter into a mortgage situation. Takes them about another 5 to 8 years after that to build up a certain amount of equity, and then we're ready to hand the home over. So they purchase it outright at interest free. So, and it's a really good model because they're getting a really good asset. We walk them through the process of budgeting, learning how to maintain and look after their own home. We've had 4 of those this year in Pukekohe, and it is, unfortunately, it is getting more challenging in the Auckland space to offer affordable housing even through us. Home repair program, this is the bread and butter of what we do in Auckland and Whangarei. So we're offering essential home repairs to families that can't go to a private builder, can't go to a private plumber. And we're also stopped by offering the service interest free. We make no money out of it. And last year we did around 120 of these home repairs. It's generally full bathrooms, flooring, kitchens, the stuff that people really struggle to be able to afford. And we do have social rental. So we are a community housing provider working alongside the Ministry of Housing and Urban Development, and offering affordable rental options for people who are on the public housing wait list or who are experiencing housing deprivation. This is primarily aimed at taking people off that public housing list, reducing the need on the government, and offering security of tenure. We know a lot of people in that rental market are moving every 6 months to a year. So there's no security for kids, education suffers. Our last one is our Healthy Homes program, working alongside NZ Health, and we offer in-home assessments. We go in, we look at the home and the whānau situation. We offer interventions aimed at addressing acute and preventable housing issues that can be attributed to cold, damp, overcrowded living situations. So we can offer interventions such as insulation and enabling families to access the eco subsidies for those. We give blankets, heaters, mold kits, scoopies, hot water bottles, anything we can beg, borrow and steal to make family immediately warmer and drier. Within that, we also make and fit curtains for free, because curtains offer around a 30% reduction in heat loss for a home. So that's just a really quick snippet of the programs that we offer. So what does volunteering with Habitat at a domestic level look like? So there's a few different options. And again, the 3 streams here are around at servicing our programs directly. A home repair day is where we get a corporate team together and we go fix somebody's home. It's really that simple. It's generally the last step in a family home repair with us. So the family, it is a hand up, not a handout. So they do pay for repairs even through us. It's just interest free. We make no cost, and they pay it back over a period of time. But where the corporate groups come in, it's generally that last stop that the family can't really afford to do, even through us. So it's repainting, repairing cladding, site clearance. There's all sorts of things that we can do. So it's a tangible one-day event. Grab your team together. They're a lot of fun. There's team building, and you can really see the difference in that family's life in one day. Last week, we repainted the whole exterior of a home in one day. And tomorrow we're doing the interior of a home in one day. So they're big jobs, but it's an easy way to get your team engaged in helping others in a really tangible, hands-on way. The next one is volunteering at our restores. So we have 6 restore charity shops throughout our region, and these are the financial heartbeat of what we do. We can't offer the programs that we do without our restores. So like any charity shop, we do rely on volunteer labour quite a lot. We can take individual up to group teams in any of our restores. On any given day, we could have up to 10 to 15 volunteers in any of our stores. And we do have corporate groups that come in and donate their time, whether it's one day a year or like AMI do for us. BNZ are another corporate volunteer who offer their time, or for corporates that offer their 1 to 2 days for social engagement per year. It can be individuals as well. And that could be a mix of merchandising, sorting donated goods, minor maintenance work, customer service, whatever needs to be done on the day. And then we have our Healthy Homes program. And this is where we make those packs ready to deliver out to family with heaters and blankets and all the bits and pieces. We put them together and corporate groups can then deliver them straight out. Otherwise, they are going out with our teams, or we also distribute them through local preschool centres and healthy health hubs like Awhi and Nohu. So there is other ways that corporate groups can get involved with us. It is volunteering, but not strictly under the volunteer hours umbrella. So there is advocacy. We do a national advocacy piece around curtains, and we want them to be in the Healthy Home Standard. So it's an easy way to get involved, lend your voice, lend your social channels, support our work. Payroll giving, an easy way to get your team engaged at no cost to you. Financial contribution, we're never going to say no, let's be honest. Together we can do more. Yeah, you can see your thumbs up, Michelle. Our home repair program, it costs us $100,000 per year to offer that program. Not even just to run it, to offer it. So we do have a funding shortfall in some areas around the country. Donating unwanted goods. This is where we actually ask corporate groups like yourselves, please don't landfill, redirect, reuse and repurpose. We will come pick it up, we will sell it through our restores or use it in our home repairs. It's better for your brand and better for the planet. I won't talk too much about this because we all know the benefits of volunteering. It's your productivity is boosted, you're increasing employee engagement, and you're improving hiring and retention rates, especially for the younger millennials and zillennials. Benefits for employers, it's the stuff we all know. A culture of giving back can inspire, motivate, and engage your team. Today's employees and consumers are calling for organisations to contribute to community development by solving social and environmental issues. We want our employers to do more. The benefits for employees are improved mental health. We know this. Do good, feel good. Gaining a sense of accomplishment and motivation, discovering new skills and passions. Who knew that by a day you're an accounts person, come volunteer with Habitat, you'll learn to use a skill saw. And your painting will be excellent. You're making connections and friends. It's really, as Michelle talked to, you get to sit down and bond with your CEO or your manager in a way that you don't normally. And it is a change from the daily routine that inspires and revives you. It wakes you up. So I just wanted to share a video of one of our latest volunteer days. Sorry, it is a little slow starting today. So this is, don't take my word for it.
We don't have the sound, Kim, so you might narrate for us.
Hang on. Oh, sorry, I'm not sure what's happened to my sound here. It's Bluestone Mortgages came to paint Stephanie's home in Otara to make it weatherproof. The family, through bad luck and disability, had ongoing health issues, so the house had fallen into a state of disrepair. Bluestone Mortgages came to paint and make weathertight the exterior of the home. And they found it really impactful. The home had a new roof, it was completely repainted, and the inside floorings were done as well. Sorry about that, my sound was working a moment ago.
Oh, thank you, Kim. That was great. And I think you know that all these opportunities are great for bringing people together in many ways on many different levels. So I think that's awesome. And I like the fact that actually you don't need to have skills. Doesn't matter if you're not a plumber or electrician or are able to repair know how to replace a roof. We can all paint, some better than others, but we can all paint, and sorting and what have you. There's lots of opportunities there that you can get involved. So Kim, you mentioned your restores in Auckland. Where are they? What would be the closest to Parnell?
Probably the Panmure store. So
Right.
we have Pukekohe, East Tamaki, Panmure, Henderson, Wairau Road, and then one in Whangarei.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Now I think we've got a couple of questions on the chat. So there was a question. It looks like, Michelle, you've replied about parking at Fairfood. Yes, it's dead easy. It's straight off the ramp at Rosebank Road, and then there's plenty of parking around there, but there's also public transport as well. Buses are good. So thank you for responding to that. And Cheryl's asked, what's the youngest age you accept? So that would be a question for both of you.
Yeah, we take college groups as a whole group. So sometimes a college will do a whole term with us and they'll come once a week or something like that. But if you want to bring your own kid, we ask that they be 12 and up and that you be responsible for them. It's, there's a forklift, we put you in high vis, but if your kid is up for it, we can make it work.
Great. So it's a good opportunity for those that have got children in the category that they're trying to get their Duke of Edinburgh volunteering in. So
yeah, definitely. And the bonus is your kid learns how to actually do things in the kitchen. So it's budgeting skills for the rest of their lives when they figure out what fruits and vegetables they can eat and how to put something together.
Awesome. And Kim, what sort of minimum age do you accept?
For us, it is 16 because there is quite extensive health and safety, especially for the home repairs. We do Duke of Ed as well, but only for those 16 and older.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. And Carol's got a question. Is there anybody specific to contact for Habitat for Humanity?
Yeah, it is me. I'm just literally typing that back into Carol now. So it's kim.sinfield@habitat.org. So it's also on our website, just link through on our website if you need to go through the volunteering channels.
When I was a teenager, we volunteered with Habitat. It's huge in the States and I'm from the South. Yeah. So Jimmy Carter's he's like our king, it's like royalty for us. And it's what got me into a life of service. So I can personally attest, be careful if you bring your teenager to Habitat for Humanity, they may end up in a life of social good, which has worked out quite well for me. But it was a wonderful experience then. I'm sure it's a wonderful experience now too. And meeting the people whose home you're repairing, it was really incredible to get to hear someone's story and to see, because as a youth, you don't necessarily understand that everybody's home doesn't look like yours.
Yeah, and it's that coming together of the family and Habitat and volunteers. It's that hand up rather than hand out that we really strongly believe in. So we work alongside the family on the day and our builders. It's a lovely tie-in, and I know exactly what you mean about the teenagers. One of our younger volunteers is now the Asia Pacific youth representative for Habitat International. So once they start, they don't stop.
Oh, that's great. And I know it's great to hear that you're getting more and more groups through. And some of the large corporates for a few years, Zed had their Good in the Hood campaign running, and then BNZ did their Closed for was it Closed for Good, or a campaign where all the BNZ banks were shut for one day and everyone was out doing various projects, so are you both seeing a greater interest now?
Yeah, we do have a couple of corporate partners, so large sponsors, which are AMI and BNZ. So they give us their 2 days per year each, and that's predominantly for go through our restores. And then the other corporate groups for us, the home repair system or home repair projects is the most in demand, and we are looking at a year out for some of them.
Same for us. We have 1 to 2 a week, I would say, right now. And some are quite random and it's all their staff, but they only have 12 staff. And others, it's massive employers and just one manager and their team. Or Paper Plus brought their chief executive and their leadership team through. The chief executive from HSBC was in recently. And so I think it really takes that one champion that's just willing to do that little bit of logistics to say, how many people do I need to bring a lunch? Are they, will they really get off of their email and spend a few hours doing this? how did they get there? Just there's little teeny tiny barriers that cause people to let their day go wasted. I think once they've been to our organization or gone on Volunteering Auckland, which has a lot of different charity options, and they do it, then it kind of breaks the seal for all the other ones, because then they can say to the rest of their executive leadership team, oh, you haven't used your day yet? Just go to Fairfood, email this person, or, you can do it at the stores. You don't have to paint and get it on your clothes. Whatever their kind of concern might be, it's just a small logistic.
And for us, we know top down works really well. For the larger corporate groups, if it's just posted to an intranet, or generally they get a really low sign up rate of around 3%, but where it's coming from the top down and they've got somebody like a CEO or a team leader going, let's go do this, come on guys, you get a much different response.
I once completed a B Corp assessment for an organization, and on the B Corp assessment it said, do you offer corporate volunteering? And yes, but then it asked actually what was your take-up rate. So you got a point, kind of, you got a score for offering it, but actually you boosted your score massively based on the take-up rate. And I think that's great. So offering it's one thing, but actually encouraging or allowing people the opportunity to use that time, really needs to be supported as well. So thank you. Are there any other questions at all? There's nothing else on the chat, but I just wondered if anyone had any burning questions or comments and would like to unmute themselves. Feel free.
All looks okay.
It does.
Thank you so much, Michelle and Kim. That was really insightful. Thanks very much for doing that.
Yeah,
You're welcome.
thank you. And just before everyone hangs off, next month's webinar, we're going to be talking about how you can have a sustainable Christmas. So talk about sustainable gifting. So that is next month. So thank you very much. Thank you again, Michelle and Kim. Really enjoyed the presentations today, and hopefully we're all inspired to go and do some work with you. So thank you.